doing my first ever motorcycle race. Yes, I said motorcycle race.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself. Be someone else. No one's stopping me now.
Hey team, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I am Macky, and on this channel, we're sharing the mountain bike race experience with you. For those of you who've been following the channel, you're probably wondering, where is Sid? Sid is healing well, but is not quite ready for what I will be doing today, which is doing my first ever motorcycle race. Yes, I said motorcycle race. On this channel, we talk a lot about like the beginner mindset and trying new things and not being afraid to push your boundaries and try things that are outside of your comfort zone. I am taking my own advice and trying something totally new, and I get the feeling I am way out of my depth. The first thing that's really causing me some stress is that my tire is, as you can see, looking a little bit worn out, and I actually have a new tire, but I do not have the skills or the time to get the new tire put on. So I'm riding an extremely worn out tire, and I was like, oh, it'll be fine. And then I got here and everyone's like, this race is totally gnarly. And I'm like, oh, great, I'm in big trouble. And then the other thing, which is definitely not normal around here, is I have cracked my plastic, and that happened like years ago. And I just had to put some fresh duct tape on it so that it wasn't flapping around in the wind. But I suspect that most people's bikes are looking a little bit nicer and cleaner than mine. But you know, run what you brung. That's our philosophy. I chose this number specifically because it's an ambigram, which means that when I crash and I'm stuck upside down under my bike, people will still be able to tell what number I am. Because I know someone is going to ask, this is a KTM 250 SXF. So it's a 4-stroke 250. It's a 2012. That's really all I know about it, except that I've been riding it for a number of years and I love this bike. And yeah, the only custom things are my custom Ripro sticker and my custom brake levers. Besides that, everything is either original parts or things that I had to replace, like tires. Bike fired up, no problem, so that's a good sign. So I'm pretty much just wearing what I normally wear for like downhill mountain biking, with the addition of this thing. I do not normally wear quite so much padding on the top for downhill mountain biking. I also have moto pants on and boots, obviously. I think my bike is ready. I am almost ready. I think I'm going to go warm up, meaning go ride around and try to remember how my clutch and throttle and everything works so that I don't totally embarrass myself by either stalling out or looping out on the start line.
Start it up.
The first thing that caught me off guard was the dead engine start. I actually had to ask someone what that meant, but basically you aren't allowed to start your engine until they wave the start flag. And since this was a hare scramble, it was a mass start, which was awesome. Not surprisingly, I was not the first one off the start line, but I also wasn't the last, so I took that as a good sign. Everyone agreed that this course was quite technical, which is no surprise given how technical the mountain bike trails at Pajarito are, but the parts that were hardest for me were not the parts that most people found hard. For me, it was the hill climbs. They were steep and loose and covered in rocks and felt like they went on forever. Definitely something I need to work on. Apparently most of the WEBE series races are faster and more open, so for most people, the single track in the trees was the hardest part. As a mountain bike racer, tight single track in the trees wasn't a problem for me, so I was able to make up a lot of time in those sections, time that I promptly lost on the hill climbs. The course did a big counterclockwise loop on Pajarito Mountain, occasionally crossing mountain bike trails that I recognized, but primarily staying in areas I'd never been in before. It started off with some single track sections through the trees, then hit the first hill climb up a dirt road full of loose rocks. Then it flattened out a bit before hitting the second hill climb, which was shorter but steeper and even more slippery. Sort of blended into the third hill climb to the high point of the course. The way down was similar in that we had single track sections, fast dirt road sections, and a high-speed descent down a dirt road that terrified me and probably would have been quite a bit faster for me on a mountain bike. I was racing in the 250C class, which turned out to be a great choice. The other racers in my class were a similar speed, and since C is the lowest class, I got to watch some really great crashes and experience a few of my own. Partway through the second lap, I ended up catching a guy I started calling the pinball, because he rode a bit like a pinball, bouncing off of trees and seemingly completely out of control. We had very different skill sets. He was good at fast open sections,
But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my one for sure. I'm gonna be myself, be someone else. No one's stopping.
I was faster and smoother in the tight single track, so we went back and forth for the rest of that lap and into the third.
Just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out. So try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town.
Until I realized I had a flat front tire.
Uh-oh, flat front tire. Nothing can break me. No, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down.
Unfortunately, as the tire lost more and more air, it started folding in corners, so I started crashing even more than I had been on the first two laps.
Nothing can break me. No, nothing can break me.
Given that I had no tools or skills to fix a flat tire on a dirt bike, I decided to just ride it to the end of that lap and assumed I was going to have to quit the race.
Beautiful stars, I wanna drive a faster car.
Well, there you go. A little bit of a dirt stash. Unfortunately, it did not go quite like I hoped. I was actually doing, I think, really well. I'm pretty sure I was second in my category. I had passed a lot of people. I was riding real well. I was super stoked about it. And then I got a flat tire and rode like almost my entire third lap with a flat tire. Only got passed by one person. We then had a full other lap to go, and I was like, I'm not gonna try to like run an entire lap on a flat tire and like destroy my wheel and have to buy a new wheel. So I'm done. Good news, guys, I actually do get to finish because Carrie, who is amazing, is going to let me use her wheel so that I can finish. So I'm like swapping a wheel now, which I'm not very good at.
Try not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm
rushed back up after swapping the wheel, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do my last lap. And they were like, nope, sorry, the sweep's already gone out. You don't get to do your last lap. Really, I had an amazing time. It was just super fun. I like the scene here a lot. People are super cool. It reminds me a lot of mountain bike racing. Everybody's out here to have a good time. Obviously, there's some people racing more seriously, but then there's just a bunch of people who are here to have fun. They're competing with their friends. So super, super awesome experience. Definitely would like to do another one. So I checked out lap times, and it turns out I was riding with second place in my category. Apparently a lot of people did not finish all 4 laps, so despite not finishing all 4 laps, I was still 5th in my category. Admittedly, that was only out of 7. I won't be doing a ton of moto races, but I am hoping to do some more of them because it really was a fun experience. It was fun to be a beginner and get back into that mindset of this is new, I'm just out here to have fun, I'm not trying to prove anything, just meet cool people and have a good time riding yet another type of bicycle.